Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to my box office recaps. So after going over the months of May, June, July, August, and the summer season as a whole, we're now getting into the fall season, starting with September. And while the fall season is nowhere near as interesting as the summer season, during this time, several movies do come out that get people's attention. But a lot of those movies usually come out in October, not September. And the reason why is because September, for the longest time, has been known for being a dump month, similar to January or February, because Hollywood, you kind of see the month as just bleh, not important. So they just throw movies that are kind of modest budget or don't have much potential. They just throw it there, hopefully to make a quick buck. That's how it usually works. And September, throughout its history, some decent performers have come out of that month. The Hotel Transylvania movies, 1 and 2 in particular. The Resident Evil movies, Maze Runner, Equalizer, Sully. Trying to think what else. Insidious Chapter 2, The Lion King 3D re-release, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Those two movies all did pretty good. The first Rush Hour, September is not a death month. But in 2017, one movie changed the whole perception of September. And that one movie was It. Because It opened to about $123 million in its opening weekend, which was unheard of for September. The previous record was $48 million. So that's more than double. And since then, Hollywood has, they see September as less of a dump month and a bit more lucrative. And it shows this year because It Chapter 2, despite being a relative underperformer, it's still open to $91 million. And most movies would kill for that type of number, particularly for September. And even movies like Hustlers and Downton Abbey did very strong business. And overall, this September, thanks to these three movies, was pretty good in terms of money. But these were the only three hits to come out that month, because every other movie was either disappointed or bombed. And we're going to go over all of them, except for Judy, because I didn't cover Judy because it was a limited release. So we're not going to talk about that. But it is doing pretty good for what it is. So let's start with It Chapter 2. Why do I say this film underperformed? Well, just like a lot of sequels I talked about in my summer recap part 3, all the oofs, this movie seriously underperformed in comparison to its predecessor. I'm about to show you right now. See, the first It opened to $123 million domestic, made $327 million domestic, and it ended up making $700 million worldwide. It Chapter 2, in comparison, opened with $91 million domestic. It's made $207 million domestic, so that's about a drop of $100 million. And it's only made $445 million worldwide, a drop of about $250 from the first. And that's kind of shocking, considering how the first movie was so well received by audiences and critics and pretty much anyone who saw it. So what happened? I think I have some answers to that question on why this movie didn't do particularly well. One of the reasons could be the running time, which was close to 3 hours. Now, I've said in even my prediction for It Chapter 2, I did say sometimes running time doesn't matter as long as the movie itself looks appealing. I mean, look at Avengers Endgame. That movie made $2.8 billion worldwide, and that movie was 3 hours long. But I think with It Chapter 2, that long running time hurt the film, because what I've heard from people who've seen it, from a lot of reviews, they say the pacing is a serious problem. Because, let's be real, no one wants to pay to see a movie that's boring, that's considered boring. Who wants to do that to themselves? It's like paying to see a movie that'll make you depressed. Why would you do that? So that was a problem. I think the second problem is that the first It was a real lightning in a bottle success, and it would be pretty much impossible to replicate that initial impact. the first film had. And I thought this would do it. I really did. I thought this would be one of the biggest hits of 2019, but it didn't happen, which is kind of sad, but what can you do? But still, for an R-rated horror film, it's leagues above many. And for R-rated movies in general, it's also leagues above many films. So it's definitely not a failure by any means, but it is an underperformer. So, next film, Hustlers, what I consider the real hit of September, because it actually opened above expectations. And if you would have told me like a couple months ago, how would you think Hustlers, how will Hustlers do? I probably would have said, I don't think it will do that great, because the film didn't look like it was getting that much interest. You know, it just looked kind of blah. But as, you know, we got closer and closer to the film's release, I noticed that the hype for the film has spiked. It really spiked like a week before it came out. And the reviews started coming out. They were all praising it. J-Lo was getting all this Oscar buzz. The overall hype for the film was increasing. And then by the time it came out, it opened to $33 million, which is the biggest ever for Styx Entertainment, who desperately needed a hit after the bomb that was Ugly Dolls. So that's great for them. It's also the biggest opening for J-Lo's career, so that's also great for her. And yeah, the fact that this movie is going to make $100 million domestic is shocking, to say the least. You know, the fact that this movie, Hustlers, which only cost $20 million, is going to make more domestically than Dark Phoenix, which cost $200 million. 10 times as much as this. That is insane. Absolutely insane. So yeah, congratulations to Hustlers, and I think J-Lo's Oscar chances are pretty solid right now. And the final hit of September was Downton Abbey. Just like Hustlers, if you would have asked me how this movie would have done like months ago, I would have said it could do well, but I just don't see it, because I didn't see too much interest surround this film, you know, before its release. But by the time, you know, the week of its release, it started to spike. And, you know, when it came out, it made 31 million opening. 31 million opening weekend, which was shocking. I thought it would only make 20 million, but it just soared past that. And again, just like Hustlers, it was the biggest opening for its distributor, which was Focus Features. So that's good news for them. And the fact that this small little movie, which only cost, it doesn't say here, but it cost like $13 million, again, has made more domestically than Dark Phoenix and Men in Black International. It says a lot. It says a whole lot. And the fact that, and another thing is that the two movies that came out the same weekend, Ad Astra and Rambo: Last Blood, the fact that this movie wiped the floor with both of them is, again, it's surprising. 2019 has been filled with surprises, both good and bad, but this is definitely one of the good ones. So after these three movies, everything just goes downhill. It's all downhill from here. Starting with Abominable. Now, Abominable, I thought it would do well because it literally had the market to itself. There were no other kids' films to really challenge it. And it still bombed. It still bombed. Which is just like, how? But I think it may be because the movie just didn't have much attention at all. No one was interested or excited about it. And it kind of just died. And overseas, it's not doing well at all. It's actually bombing in China, which shocked me. Because, you know, considering this movie has, can't talk. Considering the cast and the location and whatnot, you think this would make money in China. But it bombed. Heck, Coco, which is, about the Day of the Dead. It's not even related to China, but that movie did blockbuster business. Like, how can Coco make real money in China, but this can't? It's shocking. It's kind of like how Crazy Rich Asians, which last year did very well domestically, but it bombed extraordinarily hard in China. So maybe China just doesn't like movies that pander to them this much. Maybe that's why. Because they already have all their local films that they can watch. So, and for DreamWorks, this is very, very weak for them. And they're probably hoping that Trolls World Tour will do better than this. It probably will. But, yeah, this is weak, no matter, you know. I mean, you may be like, oh, but Malik, this movie was good. You know, it had good reviews. But it doesn't matter if your film has good reviews, bad reviews, mediocre reviews. If no one's talking about it, no one's going to see it. Okay? Doesn't matter what reviews it has. Alright, so what's next? Ad Astra. Similar situation where reviews, its good reviews did not translate to good box office. In fact, it translated to horrible box office. And this movie was pretty much circling the drain for a while. Because this movie was filmed like 2 years ago. I remember this was supposed to come out in May. But there was like no trailer, no poster, no nothing. It was just kind of there until Disney Fox, you know, Disney who purchased Fox, they realized, oh wait, what do we do with this? So they just pushed it to September, and then they finally gave it some advertising. So that's never a good sign. And, you know, this is one of those situations where, like, the critics love it, but audiences don't. Audiences were pretty negative towards this film. They just did not like it at all, which resulted in the film's relatively short legs. And, you know, Brad Pitt, I mean, well, I don't think it's necessarily Brad Pitt's fault. I mean, he did make those stupid toxic masculinity comments before the film, which probably hurt it a bit. But I think this is a case where star power is not everything. All right? You can't rely on your star, you know, to help your whole movie. You know, Ad Astra and recently Gemini Man both proved this. Because, you know, look at this poster. It just has Brad Pitt's face. It doesn't tell you anything about the film. It just shows Brad Pitt's face. How does that make you want to watch the film? I mean, unless you're a big fan of Brad Pitt. I mean, other than that, there's no real reason to watch it. This movie's only made $47 million domestic, $120 million worldwide on like a $100 million budget. This movie's a massive bomb. Another bomb for Fox ever since the Disney merger. They're probably hoping, they're praying that Ford v Ferrari is a hit. And that movie does look like a hit. At least right now. Anything can happen with that movie. But it does have far greater appeal than this. That was Ad Astra. Next up, Rambo Last Blood. Now, I remember when this film, the weekend it came out, there were plenty of articles labeling this film as, oh, this is xenophobic, it's horrible, it's racist, it's Donald Trump's wet dream. All those things. Right, the media was completely against this film. And audiences and a lot of YouTubers, you know, supported this film. They wanted the film to succeed. They wanted to rally behind it. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. None of it mattered. No one watched the film. It only made $42 million domestic on a $50 million budget. In comparison to the last film, it squeaked by that film, the Rambo 4. It squeaked by it barely. But in terms of inflation, it's an all-time low for the series. So I think just like Shaft and a lot of these movies where, you know, a lot of the online community, a lot of YouTubers that I watch, they try to support it. But the thing is that the general public doesn't care about these films. They never cared about Rambo Last Blood. That's the brutal truth. Even with all the backlash surrounding it, it was never going to do that great. Because, you know, this is a series that's been, well, it's been around since like 1980. And, you know, the audience is just, there's no real demand. Because this movie is only relying on the older demographic. And that's what, you know, Ad Astra and Downton Abbey, they all relied on that older demographic. But the thing is, People gave a crap about Downton Abbey. No one gave a crap about this or that Astro. So Sylvester Stallone, yeah, the Rambo series your Rambo series is pretty much dead at this point. And unless you're gonna make Creed 3, yeah, it's not looking too good for you, man. Yeah, that was Rambo. And last and certainly least, the A-bomb of September, the Goldfinch. Oh my God, Warner Brothers, I don't understand you. How can you release films like It Chapter 2, Pikachu, Shazam, but you release films like this that have no real audience, no real demand? Like, why? It makes no sense. You're just burning money. Like, stop it. Because the Goldfinch bombed extraordinarily hard and only made $2.6 million. Made $5 million total, which is pathetic on a $45 million budget. So this movie's going to lose them a decent chunk of cash. So Warner Brothers, you got to stop it. Releasing these dramas that no one wants to see. And you got another one of these coming out next month with Motherless Brooklyn. And I'm just going to say right now, that movie's going to bomb too. Because no one wants to watch these films. Okay? No one's asking for it, so stop making them. Okay? So that was September. It's pretty, not super duper eventful. Not too many movies came out. But it was still somewhat interesting. You know, at least compared to August. And, you know, the next month, which is October, which we're going to talk about when, you know, October is over. Already, from what I've seen, Joker is going to be the biggest hit of October. Easy, no doubt about that. Addams Family has also done very well. Gemini Man is bombing. Jexy is bombing. And there are a couple movies that still have to be released, like Maleficent 2, Zombieland 2, and a couple others. So when, you know, October is over, I'll do a recap video of that month. And I still have to do predictions for pretty much all these movies here. Maleficent 2, Zombieland 2, Black and Blue, Countdown, The Current War. I'll do all those. And then we get to November, where it starts getting a little more interesting. So yeah, that is all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. If you want to go check out my past recaps, I've done May, June, July, August, and I've done a 3-part recap of the summer box office. So if you want to go check those out, go right ahead. If you want to go check out my predictions for a lot of these movies, I've got my playlist, fall predictions, summer blockbuster predictions, you know, the non-blockbuster playlist. You can watch all those. And that is all, and I am out.